Good morning. This is Bill from Auto Europe in Naples, and today I've got another lovely, chilly Florida morning. It's the third day in a row that I've gotten to wear slacks instead of shorts, which is good. People tell me my legs are dreadful and they should be covered up, but I'm in Florida. What the hell are you gonna do? You really do have to put on shorts here to live, but not today. Starting out in the 40s, very nice place to be. We're going to mature into the 70s, and this is the weather that makes this place worth living in. I've got this 2007 Hummer H3. This is, of course, I would call it a compact SUV, would be a bit wrong, maybe a mid-size SUV. Of course, it comes from the now defunct Hummer division of General Motors, which was kind of a shame, but also maybe inevitable. And it does share a very similar look to its brethren, like, that one over there. Maybe someday we'll even get a title to that one, be able to sell it. That said, this thing, does not look dissimilar to it, although it is, of course, a very different unit. There was the H1, of course, which is like that. The H2, which was, capable in many ways, but overblown. And then the H3 came along and sort of quietly was a great truck. Frankly, way better than it gets credit for. It really suffers from the controversy of Hummer. Driving a Hummer is one of those things where, you're not taking a neutral stance on things. You get glares from the Sierra Club members and their Priuses at the stoplights. People sort of think you're, making some sort of a political statement. You really didn't get that with the H3. It did have the look. It did have those incredible, turret-looking greenhouse, windows and such on top. The very stout front windshield, almost straight up and down. The 7 bars in the grill. The hood vents, hood loopers, which aren't functional, but good looking. And of course, the 2 air boxes there on top of the hood at the back. One of those actually is functional. It does vent the motor. You've got round headlamps and square holes. You've got these incredible tow hooks they put on the front and the back. These things will actually support the weight of the entire vehicle. So, they are not just there for show. They have an incredible function, particularly if you're an off-roader. You get the big boxy fenders. It is all Hummer to look at it, while at the same time has a reasonable footprint, turns in reasonable fuel economy, is not terribly uncomfortable driving around town or on the highway, and is, despite anyone who may tell you otherwise, a terrific off-road vehicle. It does share its platform with the GM, the Colorado, truck platform, but very little of it. GM says like 10% is the same, and that probably is true. They moved the front and rear axles forward and down to give the thing more ride height and a much steeper angle of attack, so it can, get over objects a lot easier. It'll ford almost 3 feet of water, 27 inches of water. You can drive through it like 20 miles an hour, which is, again, pretty capable stuff. And, the track is very wide, so if you're, side to side, you've got pretty good stability. You really have to give this thing more credit than it gets. It is a terrific off-road vehicle. Not too far removed from a 4-door Jeep Unlimited or such. And it also uses an inline 5-cylinder, which, people say, great, it'd be good to have more horsepower, and maybe that's true. But don't forget the beloved, Jeep Wrangler had that same inline setup with the 6, but still not really any more horsepower for many, many years, and was a beloved vehicle. So, the Hummer needs to really get its due, this H3. And the market shows that it is appreciated. You can see this one's finished in triple black. It's a great color combination. It has just 39,000 miles. Very rare to find one of these, with such low miles. And to my absolute joy, has a 5-speed manual gearbox. There in the back, you see another one of those tow hooks, which, again, you can lift the thing from a helicopter with that. Beautiful big chunky fender flares. The prerequisite Hummer gas cap, with the design. The wheels, you know, the original Hummers, these H1s over there, they had a tire inflator system. So when the thing popped, it would, you know, shoot compressed air to keep the tire revved up. Well, this doesn't have that, but it does have the look of it, you know, which is, again, part of what Hummer's all about. Also, a nice big chrome step bar there, the little H3 logo, the GM badge on the fender. Those, I mean, incredible. Nothing looks like that. Look at those rectangular flat windows. Again, like, you know, a tank turret or something. You've got a cargo bar up on top, all very nice. And I don't know, I think it's a pretty good looking piece. It's a lot more understated than the H1 or the H2, which really just went overboard at trying to look machismo. Back here you've got some, you know, usable cargo room. I don't know why they put these incursions in, maybe for storage, but without them you'd have a lot more. But it is all very rugged, nice. You've got a, you know, soft material, but very nice and durable, so you'll be able to throw stuff back there with no problem. All sorts of little cargo tie downs to, you know, when you're upside down or sideways, you'll be able to connect everything so it doesn't go flying around. You could strap your kids down here with ratchet straps, no problem, and they're not going anywhere, even if you're in the severe off-roading. All your jack and stuff is stowed back here. Instead of the traditional mom van thing where the rear hatch comes up, you know, sort of horizontally, this thing does open vertically, which I quite like, the way the tailgate works. And, you know, just very, very neat stuff. I imagine they did that because that has to support this giant full-size spare tire, which connects to the back. Have a look under the hood. If you haven't opened the hood on one of these things, it's a little mystifying. You're always looking in here, feeling around for it, going nuts. It turns out the release is here, which is hard to do one-handed, mind you. But anyway, there it is. So there is a 3.7 liter inline 5-cylinder, also shared with the Colorado. For 07, it got a much needed bump. It got an extra 0.2 of a liter and an extra 22 horse. So it went from, what did it go from, like 240 to 262 or 250 to 272? Don't immediately remember. But it was a nice increase in horsepower. And it's adequate. I mean, it definitely doesn't rocket this thing down the road. You know, it's not a V8, but it is adequate in the same way that the Jeep Wrangler with that inline 6 was adequate, and in fact beloved. You know, they get about the same 0 to 60 in quarter mile times as the Jeep. They have very similar off-road capabilities, which I know I'm going to get flack in the comment section for that, but it's true. I mean, look at this angle of attack here. That front tire is riding right behind the rear bumper, so you're going to be able to get over a lot of stuff without any serious hassle. Also has nice high ground clearance and some shielding underneath to keep the rocks off. And I do quite like these square headlight holes with the round headlights. It's just such a neat look. You got a couple of fogs down there too. Okay, in the back seat, pretty good room. You're going to fit 2 adults back there, no problem. 4 Canadians, but 2 adults. The way the seats fold forward is quite weird, but works neat. So they go down there and flat, and then when you put this down, you get nearly flat cargo room, which is pretty cool. So good utility in this thing. I'm trying to get the seatbelt out while holding a camera will be next to impossible. There we go. You got a nicely built-in cup holder there in the middle, but just one, so your rear passengers have to fight over it. You got these weird sort of removable cargo nets. These things are always broken in these things, but with such low miles and little use, this one, you know, they're like new. You know, nice door panels. Hummer resisted the urge to put all these sort of hex nut fasteners and military-looking hardware inside, and you know, they made it a lot more, you know, call it luxurious, call it you know, corporate GM, call it what you want, but it doesn't get up and in your face the way the other 2 Hummers do. Nice little leathery insert there, you know, power windows. It's not super expensive material or anything, but it looks nice. It's fit together very well, and you know, does the job that it's meant to do. And I'm going to find the keys before I hop in. Again, up front, the story's the same. You know, this thing has the cloth seats, sort of a fabric-y thing. Look like they're going to be pretty good at resisting stains and issues. You know, the door panel, same as the back. You got plasticky around it. You got a weird little nothing mat pocket there. I mean, you're not going to fit anything in that thing that's not, you know, razor thin. But, you know, anyway, I guess you got something in there. You got your power window switches, your power mirror, nice subdued little door handles. Let me see if I can find the key. Alright, got him. Fascinating. I like the step bar as well. Makes it easy to get in and out of. Now inside, visibility is not fantastic, but it's not horrible. It's not as bad as you'd think for the way it looks from the outside. I mean, you do have these little narrow windows, so don't order the supersized meal at McDonald's. You're going to have to, you know, maybe open the door to get it. But they are better than you think. And even with that roof line way forward, somehow you're still able to pretty much see the traffic lights when you're stopped. So you kind of get to have your cake and eat it too. You get the Hummer styling that, frankly, you know, people were buying these things for. And without too much of the you know, the sacrifice in terms of visibility and, you know, what have you. So let's fire it up. Clutch in. Love that stick. That's great. Absolutely great. Over here you got automatic headlights. Nice. You've got a nice subdued dash. I don't know why dashes today are all 20 feet long, but this one's nice and short, the way I like it. Very nicely laid out instrument cluster. I like the kind of titanium looking surround it's got. You got a 300 RPM red line. You got your fuel gauge, you got your temp gauge, and you got your 100 mile an hour, 110 speedo, probably about what it would do. There you see just 39,000 miles on the clock. Very nice fat macho steering wheel, feels good to grip. H3 logo in it, you know, just all very nice. You can tell this thing was more GM than AM General. They resisted so many temptations to make it ostentatious. I also do like this titanium surround on the radio and stuff. You know, looks expensive, feels nice, and gives it sort of an upmarket feel. You've got all your electronically controlled differential stuff there, your what the hell do you call it, transfer case. You got 4 high lock, you got 4 low lock. You got the, that's not to say lockers, I just mean locking the what have you. There's another version of this that would come with lockers, but not this one. This one came standard with StabiliTrak, nice that it has traction control. You get, you know, very simple AM, FM, you know, in-dash with the CD. You've got some very chunky and nice looking climate controls down there. Your rear wiper control. I don't know what the hell these guys are. Maybe nothing. Maybe just, maybe they were something in a different one. And 2 very nice 12-volt outlets there. And god damn do I love seeing that stick shift. That just makes it a true off-roader. In here you've got all your hardware for the roof rack and spare wheels and such. You got some books, nice, and everything lovely. Very simple cup holders that won't break like they would in a German car. A very nice deep center console. Up top you've got an electronic rear view mirror with your compass and your home link. You've got you know, standard looking sun visors with the little sliders to get the areas where the sun's gonna creep in, and there you go. So for something that is truly a significant off-road machine, and you know, don't take my word for it, look it up. These things have a pretty strong following with off-roaders. It's pretty civilized to drive, you know. Again, you don't get too much noise inside the cabin. The steering, because it's meant for off-roading, it's turn within 37 feet of itself, has incredibly good turning radius. Really helps you maneuver around parking lots and parallel park, that sort of thing. Bit of a granny gear in first, very low slung. But there you go. I mean, you feel it has very adequate power. I don't know why people were moaning about that. You know, I mean, I guess the more redneck you are, the more V8s you want. And I get that. I'm a V8 guy too, but be fair. The thing ain't bad. You're not going to be too miserable on an on-ramp. You get a nice high seating position, really nice steering feel. I need to wind this thing out. A lot of sound and fury. Oh, shift light there. And there it is. So now I'm getting into the higher gears. I'm in fourth. It's a nice smooth driver. The wheels and tires on this thing are in great shape, so they don't get too much road noise. And I feel like I could just commute to work, you know, in a very civilized manner. And, you know, the Sierra Club guys, they may not even notice that I'm in a Hummer. They kind of vaguely know the shape, and they're suspicious, but, you know, the thing isn't giant. So anyway, there it is. I mean, if you're looking for, you know, what is truly a serious, you know, very well enabled, you know, very well abled off-road machine, and you know, want to have the Hummer name, you want to have the Hummer look, but you don't necessarily want to be killed at the gas pumps or have blood thrown on you from, you know, environmentalists, the H3 is the way to go. It really should get a lot more respect than it does, you know, outside the community of off-roaders and people in the know. It's just a terrifically built vehicle. When it came out, many people said it was the best off-roader General Motors ever built. You know, except those guys with the K5 Blazers, they didn't. They wanted to say they had it. Anyway, 2007 Hummer H3. 39,000 miles, one of the rare stick models, which is just fantastic. And, you know, terrific condition, triple black, everything nice inside and out. If you want one of these things, you're just not going to find a nicer one. You're really not. You have an interest, give us a call, 239-298-8000, on the web at aenaples.com. Thank you so much for having a look. We appreciate it. We'll see you with the next one. Take care.